we're gonna end this recording tonight, and then tomorrow he's gonna be like, put like a throwback picture of sister giving birth to him in the hospital or something.
I am all ears. The Ghost Fancast.
Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to the very first episode of the I Am All Ears podcast. I am your host, Älva. Some of you may know me from Twitter. I tend to bombard the feeds a lot. Yeah, sorry about that. If you haven't already figured out, this podcast is going to be about the band Ghost. Every 2 weeks, I'm hopefully going to be joined by a guest, and we're going to be covering anything from theories, lore, band news, you name it. Anything Ghost related, we'll talk about it. So, yeah, let's not waste any more time and dive straight into the first episode. So today I'm joined by Cami, aka YourFavGhestie. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
So before we get started, tell us how you got into Ghost.
So I've been around for a while now. I got into Ghost in 2016 during Terzo's time. I think it was not long after they performed on the Stephen Colbert show that my dad put them on. Like, he put on the Cerise music video. And so that was like my first introduction to them. And immediately after, the Square Hammer video played, and I kind of like just listened to the entire discography like the rest of that night. And then I would listen to them every day going between college and home. So that's how it like started, but it really turned into like full-on brain rot in in 2018 when I finally saw them live as Cardinal Copia. And I don't know who I was before that. So
it's always the live experience that does it for people. There's so many people I speak to, and it's like, oh, I saw them. I knew a few songs, but I saw them live, and then my life changed. And then that was the case for me as well. So yeah, it's definitely something to do with what they do live. I don't know what it is, what spooky magic they do, but
right. No, I was like really into them. Like, I loved the music, and I was kind of following along with like the videos and everything. And I saw like videos of their live shows, and I was like, oh, they're so cool. Like, and I was still saying that they were my favorite band, but it full on turned into brain rot. This is my entire personality now in 2018.
all right. So today we're going to be talking theories. There's lots of theories we're going to have to get through. This is probably going to end up being a series, right? Because there is just so much to
100%.
go into. Yeah, and we're going to try and cover like the main ones probably. And then as time goes on, we'll delve into some of the more niche ones, some of the ones that maybe you guys come up with, and yeah. But for those who are completely new to Ghost, there's a lot to take in. There's a whole ass lore. If you are new to the lore, I do have to shout out Doomazuma on YouTube. She does the beginner's guide to Ghost, and that was what I watched when I was first getting into it, and I found it really useful. And also myself, I make a zine that had a little breakdown to the lore in. So if you go follow me on Twitter, lol. You can find that in the pinned tweets and read through that, and it might be useful. But to quickly get started before me and Cami delve in, I'm going to quickly do the quickest recap of Ghost lore ever in the most basic, simple form, and let's see if I get this right in one take. So Ghost is a satanic band. No one really knows how it got started or when it was started. There is a theory, which I'll get onto later, of how it started, but yeah, like I said, I'll get onto it later. But the earliest that we see documented is Papa Nil in the 60s, and it is also led by Sister Imperator. I can never say her fucking name. Sister Imperator. Imperator.
I've seen it. Imperator. Imperator. I don't know.
It's my British accent. I can't do it. We don't know how she got involved, but she's there. She's like the mom of the church. And Nil fucked a bunch of bitches, basically, and had 3 kids, which was Papa 1, 2, and 3. And they all grew up and fronted the band at some point before Copia came in as an apprentice. Sister decided to yeet the other 3. Nil died. Cardi became Papa. His legitimacy to the emeritus name is unknown. There's a bunch of nameless schools that are also in the ministry, and this clergy, and this butt-fuck thing that we don't know what the fuck's going on half the time. And that is that. The quickest rundown of ghost lore in history.
It's a great time. It's a great time.
So just a disclaimer before we get into any of these theories, nothing here is literal or fact as we know of yet. Obviously, we'll be throwing in some facts that we do know just to like back up our thoughts. But yeah, don't take this too seriously, because I know some people get a bit heated when it comes to theories, and yeah, we don't want to get done for that.
I was just thinking, because I know you were shouting out that other YouTuber that did the like the breakdown of ghost lore, but Ghost also did the Metal Myths video that also kind of like breaks down like lore from like a documentary perspective. So that's also really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm such a fake fan. I've only watched that like once. I need to watch it again.
No, but it's cool because it goes through each of the papas as like it's a real thing, obviously, that they're going through the story of like like Nil's reign, and then how like they kind of went underground and then they resurfaced back in 2010. So it talks about it like in a documentary standpoint, so it's really cool.
Oh, okay. I really need to brush up on that because I'm terrible. And well, this might actually lead into my first point then, because I read somewhere talking about the origins of where the ghost ministry came from. One of the theories was that an actual Catholic priest was sent to hell, and Satan decided to send him back up to Earth to spread the message of evil via ghosts. I can't remember, was that in that documentary?
I think so. I want to say so. I don't know if I should like try and like pull up the video and see if I can like skim it or something. But I'm pretty sure that they do talk about that. That the whole obviously the whole point of the ban is just to spread the message of Satan, because they kind of like talk about like ghost message, how they're like anti-religion, anti-government, all this sort of thing, and this was like the best way to spread the message.
I mean, I'm not too worried about this one at the minute because, like I said, we're just glad they're here. But like the backstory,
Right.
I suppose, is like I guess we're more concerned about what's going to happen in the future. But anything in the
Right.
backstory is kind of obviously a nice little bonus. Speaking of which, I've put down here: do we think this is actually as deep as it is, or is Tobe just making most of this up as he goes along?
So I saw that in your notes before, and I've been kind of like patch it together, I guess, of how like I wanted to phrase this. Like I feel like Tobias, like I feel like he has like a general idea of like how he wants the story to be written, based on like the album cycles, because obviously like the most important part is the music, and the lore is just a fun little gag that follows it. I think that he writes the lore to kind of just to kind of like coincide what the albums are about. Like, there was a lot of plague and plague doctor references in the prequel era, and that's kind of like reflected in some of the lore, especially like in like the Dance Macabre video, the Rats video, and then same thing with the with like the rebuilding, because they're kind of like because Impera is about like rebuilding. And then all the like chapters are kind of just like rebuilding the ministry, or not really like rebuilding the ministry, but like rebuilding like I guess like the storyline with Copia being the head of everything. At the same time, I feel like he's just making a lot of it up because the timelines are all fucked.
Yeah.
Like I was going through the chapters, and you have my file of all my notes. Like just the timeline with Nil makes no fucking sense.
No, no fucking way. The one thing that I wrote down to do with that kind of loosely as well is how there's certain things that don't make sense again within that timeline. Like, in the Dance Macabre video when Sister punches Neil in the face and that's how he gains his white eye. How has that been a genetic thing since then? How does that work? Like, because all the other papas have this white eye too, but they didn't, unless they got punched in the face as a child or at some point. They all got punched in the face in some line.
It's like as soon as they come out of the womb, just punch their eye out.
Yeah, like that has always confused me, like that little detail.
Well, you want to talk about confusing, like with the Dance Macabre video, like one, Nil sounds American as fuck. He does not sound Italian. He's confused. He doesn't know what's going on, like leading up to this party. And they're just like, "Oh, we've been expecting you." And like at that point, he becomes like basically becomes Papa. That's where he gets his skull paint. That's where he gets his eye. However, my father was Papa. His father was Papa. All of that. What make it make sense?
Honestly, it's like the continuity is just something else. But like, I don't mind it because it's kind of funny. But I know, like, some directors are probably having a fucking panic attack when they look through the ghost lore.
Like they met in the 80s or something, because that's what the Dance Macabre video looks like. It was like in the 80s, maybe 70s at best. That's when he became Papa, but he had his first gig as Papa in 1969. Okay.
Sure, we'll go with that. We'll run with it. So I'm going to start off with the biggie. Do we think that Copia is sisters and Neil's son?
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I think so too.
I was taking a lot of notes because I was just going through all like the chapters, and they've been like hinting at this like for like a long time. So I was like looking at chapter 7 in New World Redrow. Redrow, whatever. Well, they were like that was the video right before the Kiss the Go-Go video. And I showed you that one part where like Nil was typing out this letter to Sister, and he's saying in his head like something different, but it's like a Shining reference where it's like the same thing typed over and over again, and it's all work and no play makes Papa bad dad, which I'm just and it's right before the Kiss the Go-Go video, which we all know was like a big thing in ghost lore, because that's where we see Papa Nil as young, and he's performing, and Sister is there, and she literally touches her stomach. Aww. So she's like touching her stomach very adoringly. She punches a bitch out for smoking next to her. And then in chapter 9, the very next video on the Doom call, she literally says, she's talking about like the facial reconstruction of how like Copia's like he's healed from the surgery more than she has. Yeah. And she literally says, "I'm thrilled as your mother, as someone who loves you."
Yeah, it's so obvious.
Yeah, and then there are some clips of Copia when he's about to sing "Mary on a Cross," where he's literally saying like, this is a song my papa used to sing. Yeah. This is a song my old pop used to sing. And then there was one time he literally said that my daddy used to sing.
Oh, Daddy Neil.
So
it does all seem to be pointing that way.
Exactly. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. I don't think Nil knows though. I think he's still kind of clueless. But I think Copia has picked up on it.
Yeah. And also there's if we're going off, it was September 13th, 1969. And let's say Copia was born like maybe early 70 or even just later that year. That would work with how old he is. Like he would have been like, he's in his early 50s now, which is roughly, I think, what Tobias has said in interviews where he is about. Especially where he said like, oh, he grew up watching Scooby-Doo and stuff. So it makes sense. But yeah, the one thing that gets me confused at the minute though is where obviously like if he's not part of the bloodline, like Neil says, how come he's been able to adopt the Emeritus surname?
Well, at the same time, you have to think about how like, well, Nil's dead, so like Copia is just kind of like doing whatever the fuck he wants at this point. He's just like, I am Papa now.
I suppose he could have just changed it by depol and just be like, fuck it, why not?
Well, I mean, it also goes with like how I think Copia knows that he's Nil's son. But even like I know even like his sister won't call him Papa, and I'm pretty sure Nil won't call him Papa either. So I don't think they're really paying that much attention to it. But I think because like I said, Copia knows that he's Sister's son, and that Sister and Nil's son. So I think he's just like, yeah, of course I'm an emeritus brother.
That makes sense. While we're talking about mothers, obviously we're not going to know who's who, but I'm always really curious if we would ever find out who the other three's baby mama was. Like, again, is that just someone else who's in the ministry? Was that Sister? Or like, that's something that I would love to see touched on. Right.
I don't think Sister is the mother of any of the papas, because she was real quick to just like fucking like yeet them out of the picture.
Yeah. Unless she's pure fucking evil.
Exactly. She literally I noticed that obviously the ghoul was already in the room, in the Uno room. Even
Yeah.
before like sister like told Papa and they went to go speak to them. So obviously, like she had this plan. It's like fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids and fuck you.
Girl, fuck them kids.
I always wonder as well, like, if there were if it turned out that sister wasn't in fact Cardi's mom, like how he came into the ministry. Like I have this stupid dumb headcanon of him like being in his like late 30s and he's sitting outside in the hallway of one of the offices in the ministry, just like nervously like twitching his legs, and he's got his CV in his hand shaking, waiting to go in for his interview. And just that, like, part of me doesn't want him to be sister's son because I just want that to be real.
I think that one's funny. I was talking about this earlier because I was like mentioning how the twins being in the chapter videos and how they're like Nils assistants.
Mm.
So I like made this weird observation where like, well, technically speaking, we see the twins like on stage with Terzo. Like he's like, "Oh, I have some scary little ghouls," and he introduces them as like the new generation, the next generation. And then he's like, "Let me lead you into the night," and then they walk off stage. And then the next time we see them, they are in the clergy and they're Nils assistants. They're like little altar children.
Bro, it's so
So
bad with that. He just like brings them all the way to the hospital and is like, "No, fuck off."
like, thanks for bringing my oxygen machine in. You can go now. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
But I make that observation of like because you kind of mentioned this before, like on Discord before, where maybe they like that's actually like a thing that they do. They bring in like orphans, and that's how like they indoctrinate these children into their church.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how like sister kind of got away with Copia being in the ministry, being like, oh my gosh, like look at this little baby, he was just like left on the doorstep. There's always room for fresh blood in the clergy or something. So it's like, it's not my kid, it's a kid.
Yeah. Someone just left him here, God. I also
Wait,
want to know who is the first employee of the month since Copia is only second. And
I have been wondering that for so long.
I like the theory that it's Phil.
Please, I need Phil to make a comeback because Phil was one of my favorites.
For
He's my
real.
favorite
Like,
ABBA fan.
literally. Our favorite pussy-loving ABBA fan.
Also, Phil got married at some point. I want to meet Phil's wife.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why he left, because he's just gone and is living in, I don't know, where's like a Benidorm and just living the beach life. Benidorm is, I feel like Benidorm's very niche for Europeans, like for going on holiday. For anyone who's unaware of where Benidorm is, it's in Spain. And a lot of, especially Brits, move over there for like the quiet, retired life. I
That's
did
so nice.
see this theory, especially with everything that's just come out with Jim Defroque.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a reach, but I kind of love it. Right. So everyone, bear with me on this. Obviously, Jesus, He Knows Me is a throwback song to, oh God, let me just check my facts right now. When did it come out?
1991, I think.
Okay. So it's late 80s, early 90s. But the whole of Phantomime kind of has that vibe of like little 80s throwbacks because of, I mean, some were, I think, late 70s if we're going to get too technical, but we'll gloss over that. I saw this theory because people were panicking, being like, oh, what if Jim Defroque is the new frontman? Well, no offense, the guy is a great actor, but I'm pretty sure he probably can't sing. And B, I mean, he could, I just don't know, but if he'd sing for Ghost. And, we don't want Tobias to go anywhere anyway. However, I did see this theory that Defroque and the music video for Jesus, He Knows Me is actually a throwback to the late 80s, early 90s of Copia, when he was a actual priest going absolutely batshit and corrupt and blah, 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 blah. And then he was just on this stray path into sin and all debauchery and all this other stuff. He had one too many benders, completely blacked out. All of a sudden, he's part of this ministry. And the blacking out is important because that's why he's a lot better now with, he's not as corrupt with when it comes to money and stuff, but he's still got a little, sin in him. And that's how he got started. Like, he was just a priest that was on a downward slope and got brought into the ministry and then grew up to be Copia.
I did see that theory, and I find it pretty interesting, especially because I feel like the guy that they pick, like, almost had like similar features to like Copia's old face.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing that makes me not really believe that is I really doubt that, because like I said, it's pretty obvious that sister is Copia's mom, and I don't know if she would have allowed that. If she would have allowed like Copia to go like into this like line of work where like he's like an actual like minister. Like, obviously, like, he doesn't give a fuck about the actual religion or anything. He's just in it for the money. But at the same time, it's like, why would you like make yourself the face of that? And I remember someone, I don't remember where I saw this, but I remember seeing someone like during one of their meet and greets with, I'm pretty sure it was with Papa, not like Copia's Papa, not Copia's Cardinal. They asked him, when did you get your eye? And he said he got it the day he was born.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Debunked. That's that one debunked.
So that he got it when he was born, so he was literally just like a little kid with a white eye at some point.
Oh, yeah, to be fair, like, because I think it would be very awkward to go in that topic anyway, like with putting Defroque as this front figure for like the next era. I think he's literally probably just a one-off.
He could be just a one-off, or like I could see him like maybe like being like a part of the clergy, like maybe he gets kind of like roped in and he's just kind of like a side character. But like I don't see him being like the frontman of the band, because like I just don't think it would make sense for like the direction of how things are going, and even with Copia's storyline, I just don't think it works.
Yeah.
Defroque, like, I think is just kind of like a goof, and it was just kind of really just playing out, what the song was about, which is like, fuck fuck religion, fuck televangelists. They're all in it for money. Love that. And then yeah, I just feel like at this point, like with Copia being like sister son, like I feel like it's just so like obvious, like it's they've dropped so many hints about it at this point that I'm just like it's canon at this point. It's just people are just like kind of avoiding it.
Yeah, they just don't want to face the facts.
Well, it's not only that, but like there's also the people that, like, I don't know, I don't want to get too into this, but the people that ship the papas together, I'm like, they're all
get fucked.
Like, oh my god, the amount of like Terzo Copia stuff I've seen online, I'm just like, no, get away.
Please don't ship, even if they're fake, like actual related people. This isn't fucking Alabama. No offense if you're from Alabama. I'm gonna get us cancelled so bad. Alright, moving on.
We do not support incest in this house.
Incest is not allowed, people. Come on.
Not in this ministry.
You can do whatever, we're all here for the sin, but fuck, don't be incestuous.
Please don't.
Please don't. Oh, okay, moving on. So the next biggie, moving on from incest, the next biggie is obviously the what's next for Copia, and it's the big one that's always kind of floating around at the minute is the Anti-Christ theory. I know this was a big thing, especially when Spillways dropped, and you see Copia. I always get like, is it Copia, Popia, Cardinal Popia? Bleh. You know the guy I mean. He's up there on his little high horse plinth thing, and there's like a shadow behind him that's kind of reminiscent of Lucifer, and there's people bleeding around him and all this evil shit. What do you think of all that?
So I actually do like the Antichrist theory a lot. I've seen a lot of people like talk about it. I think I want to say one of the big things that really set off the series, like Spillways obviously was like a big one, but I think one of the biggest ones was during the pre-Kel era. Like obviously Ghost is like known for having like these like glamorous backdrops like during their shows. And it was during the prequel era that they had this like backdrop, and Copia is actually like in the backdrop. He's naked.
Naked.
And he's just butt ass naked there. We see it all. And he literally has a 666 tattoo on his chest.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the Omen style one there.
Mm-hmm. Which, speaking of the Omen, like what was it, like a chapter 5? They talk about the Omen a lot, and I feel like they talk about Copia like it while they're talking about the Omen. You know what I'm talking about.
I know the bit there because they mention like the films, like the film 1, film 2, and film 3, almost as if they're referencing the first 3 Papas.
Exactly. Like, okay, so like Nil says, I wrote this down. I mean, 1, 2, and 3 are very good, but then suddenly, Christ, he smites our Lord at the end of 3, and that's it. What a shitty ending. And then Sister is like, and then there's number 4, which feels like an excuse to bring in a new director and to try to get the ending right after 15 years. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
And then whenever you have a new creative team, when you start episode 4, you have to do a lot of rebuilding. Hello!
This all makes fucking sense if you compare it to how Ghost has been throughout the years.
Exactly. So like they went on this whole like talk about the Omen, and it's like very like it coincides with everything that's going down in Ghost lore. And then you have like the 666 tattoo, and the 666 is also on his robes, his new robes.
Yes.
It's just like, come on.
I also like the idea where, like, obviously Tobias has said, like, we're going to get a new character, but maybe not in the way we think. And obviously we've had the pattern of, you know, new guy, yeet, new guy, yeet. And then obviously he changed up a little bit with Copia with having, like, an apprentice, like, having to prove himself.
Mhm.
I like this idea that there's almost like it's Copia's body, but he's so possessed. It is like he goes by like a different name and all sorts. Like he's possessed by some sort of demonic creature. So even though he may look like Papa, he may call himself Santanus. I don't know, like some evil spooky name.
The first thing that just came to my mind when you were describing that was the scene from Ghostbusters where it's like, there is no Dana, only Zool. Like, that's what's going to happen with Copia.
Exactly. Like, and I mean, would you put it past him to not make like a cheesy 80s movie reference like that?
It would be very on brand. And like, especially like if Ghostbusters, like, like, that would be so funny.
No, like what if like the next ghoul outfits is like, you know, like how Slipknot used to wear like they still do, they wear the boiler suit things, and it's just the ghouls are just like Ghostbusters in those boiler suits with like the fucking thing they use to
I'm very into that. I actually, you know, kind of going with the Antichrist theory and kind of like this almost like resurrection thing, like that was like a theory that I had for a while. I mean, it kind of goes with another existing theory, which is like when Ghost dropped that the Mariana Cross slow and reverbed, the album art was like a Caligula coin. That was like, you know, it was from the movie Caligula, and they just like kind of rebranded it and everything. And then there's a whole story with Caligula, basically that he was like betrayed by his followers and he was like assassinated by his own like soldiers. And the ghouls are like soldiers, like they wear soldier outfits basically. Yeah, and so I saw a lot of people kind of like making comparisons that the ghouls are going to like assassinate Copia like on stage. And so that's how he's gonna like go. He's gonna be assassinated on stage, and then there's also like kind of piggybacking off of that. There's the picture that's like I think currently their new I think it's their new backdrop, or it was like at least from that that same photo shoot. It's like the Last Supper photo where like Copia's in the center, and then all the ghouls are like around him, like kind of like the Last Supper.
Yeah.
And then
who's going to be Judas?
Well, no, that's the thing. In one of the pictures, from that photo shoot, Swiss is actually like smiling in the back, while the rest are, you know, just being
Swiss.
like, you know, it would be Swiss. It would be Swiss.
It would be Swiss. That is on brand.
Actually, it would either be Swiss or it would be Soto or Dew.
I was gonna say Soto too, yeah. Those two are like up to no good.
Yeah, I've Soto's like smiling all the time, like he's always up to something. And I feel like Copia picks on like Soto the most, like during shows. And it really is just gonna get to a point. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna get to a point where like, he's just like, you know what? Fuck this shit. And then he just fucking like offs Copia on stage.
Imagine if it's Rain, because it's always the quiet ones.
Oh my god. No, but Soto is the quiet one though. No, they're all quiet. They're all quiet.
Yeah. I do like the online. Wow, the onstage assassination idea, because I'm a massive Alice Cooper fan, and obviously he does that part in his show where there's the guillotine on stage, and then he did one before, although it went bad one year if I remember correctly from the documentary, where he did like an onstage hanging. I'd actually really like to see that. Not obviously that what's that word when like people watch like snuff films and are into like torture and shit? I'm not into all that. But it would just be like, I think it would be very, very interesting and a very special event to witness on stage.
I think it would be really cool because like obviously like when Copia was anointed as Papa, that was really a really cool stage performance, because like for years no one knew, well, not years, I wouldn't say like no one knew exactly how it was done. I mean, we know now that there was a body double, but like logistically it's like where the fuck was the actual Copia? Like what did they do?
Didn't we like figure out where there was a trapdoor, and we like managed to like find the photo that showed it?
We did. We found the trapdoor, but at the same time I still don't know how it was done so smoothly.
Yeah, because you didn't even see like any latches open or any legs like disappearing or ascend upwards.
Like from the videos I've seen, I can't see really any like switching occur, or like where you see like a trapdoor open and then they do the switch. Like I can't see it for the life of me. I've seen like all these videos from all these different perspectives and I can't see it. So I'm still just like, even though I know there was a body double, I am still very impressed.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, it'd be cool to see if they could do more of that on stage.
Mm-hmm. Also adding to that, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So I saw this other theory. I think it was mostly me. I I made this theory that on top of the like assassination thing, kind of going back to where like Copia is like maybe like the Antichrist or something. I want to say that even though he gets assassinated, like he comes back. Whether that's because maybe sister like resurrects him because she's like, ain't no fucking way, like my son is going to be leading this band, fuck you. Or like because he's dead, he can now officially be possessed by Satan or something.
I like that. There's also the idea of like a failed assassination where he's like, they tried to kill him, but then the devil kind of steps in and goes, nah, it ain't his time, I'm gonna take over this machine, and kind of uses his body for whatever he's got planned.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like, like it either it's like a failed attempt, or like he actually like does die, but now his body is available to be a vessel.
Right, good. That would be interesting. Imagine like imagine if he like they did actually manage to kill him, and he's been dead for like a couple of months, so he's like kind of decomposed in some parts, and then when he comes back, he's like missing a limb or something, or like his face is like half fallen off.
Oh my god, Frankenstein Papa is gonna be real.
But imagine like people are still like, want to smash, and we're like, that guy is literally dead.
I mean, you still got the Nil Simps out here, and he actually is dead.
Bro, Nil Sims, are you okay? We're like avid Nil haters here.
I've made jokes before in the past, but at the same time, I'm just like, man, he's just like, he really is just a dick. And it's just like we've seen videos of him literally like taking a shit in the bathroom, and it's just like, but it's like, that's your man, taking a shit in the bathroom, taking a shit in cars. That's your man.
And that's who you're gonna simp over. Although I must admit, in the latest chapter, in chapter 17, there was one still, and I was like, he kind of, I can see it. Why he kind of Gloomy Match on Twitter asks, going on this theory, I suppose, is realistically, obviously, there's been some fun examples, like Copia is just going to get run over by a bus. But realistically, how do we think he's going to go? And I'm going with pretty much exactly what we've just discussed, and in some sort of like on-stage assassination, but he comes back in some form.
Mm-hmm. So that that I was kind of like going with that, and I also remember from the God, it was like the interview that came out like immediately after Jesus He Knows Me premiered, and there was that one bit where he talked about like how all things like come to an end, and he was kind of talking about how like Papa Emeritus's reign could be true that it comes to an end, but just because like his reign as Papa Emeritus the Fourth comes to an end, that doesn't necessarily mean that like Copia himself is going to be gone. At least that's how I want to interpret it, because I'm in denial.
We all are.
It's just I just don't want Copia to leave. I really felt for Copia. I didn't think I was going to be, because I'm gonna be honest. Because I got into Ghost around Terrazo's time, and when Copia came on the scene, I was literally like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Because I'm like, he doesn't even have skull paint. He wears like weird outfits. Like, what is that? What is that white pimp suit all about? Like, and I've grown as a person, so not us having a whole fucking channel just about the white suit.
Literally. Fucking hell, we could do a whole fucking episode on that white suit.
I'm all about it. I have plenty of photos of why it is one of the best outfits.
Get the protractors out, people. We're measuring some angles.
Oh my God. But no, yeah. So I've definitely grown as a person with Copia, and now I can't bear the idea of like, no, he can't leave. He just got to come back with like a new look or something, like something.
I like the idea that he just retires and takes a demotion, is that a word? And like goes and does like the books for the ministry and just does the accounts. And he's just in the background all quiet.
Oh my God, if we just like get shots of like Copia like just wearing these glasses and like doing taxes.
Literally, and he's got like the what's the American was the IRS after him.
Well, Copia was the treasurer of the ministry.
Oh yes, he was.
Yeah, because I don't think anything was mentioned on the Terzo bills, but on the nil bills, nil bills, from the nil bills during pre-cal, he's listed as like the treasurer, and it's got his little signature on there. Fuck, what does the sister bill say?
I'm looking at it right now. Hold on. Let me crawl across my bed. This note is not for legal tender, not for debts, public or private. And that's all it says. And then it's signed Papa Emeritus the Fourth.
Okay, so he signs it just as himself.
Yeah, I think it still says Treasurer of the Clergy, but I'm honestly blind.
I want to say that just on the last ones, like before he became Papa, I think he was Treasurer of the Clergy, and it's a Cardinal Copia.
Yeah.
So he does know, well, I was going to say he knows how to do money, but like, no, he doesn't. Like, he probably he probably almost got the ministry arrested.
Oh yeah, they're in debt for sure. They've got like the repossession men coming after him like every other week.
He's like constantly fighting, like, no, I swear.
He's going down to like cash converters, which is a bit like a pawn shop over here in the UK, and just selling all like the ghoul shit.
Oh my God, I was just thinking like, because when he was apparently the treasurer of the clergy, they had like a pretty like low budget for like a lot of their like performances and everything. Like obviously they put on a good show no matter what, but like the budget was still like on the lower side. But then as soon as Copia became Papa, he's like, all right, new budget, and then everything just skyrocketed.
Everything's like, we owe this to this company and blah blah blah, but we got cool fireworks though.
Got cool fireworks. He's got the most like bedazzled fucking robes on the face of the planet.
Moving on. Kay from Twitter actually submitted this interesting fact. She wanted to know about the Star Wars / the chapters, how they cross over, because we've got things like the Jedi Ghosts, where if you, oh my god, I have watched Star Wars. I'm just very bad at remembering exactly what happens when. But you know, like how there's that bit in the end of, is it Empire Strikes Back, when there's like Vader, Obi-Wan, and Yoda all as ghosts, and
Yeah,
obviously Neil looks like that.
yeah. So they have a lot of they have a lot of scenes where they talk about like the ghosts in Star Wars, and then he looks just like that. Wow, I'm just starting to wonder, like, do they call them phantasms in Star Wars?
I really can't remember.
But that would be cool, since he's literally like, he's a phantasm.
Yeah. Well, then there's also all these other things as well. So the ghoul costumes are obviously reminiscent of those little sand monster things as well that we see in New Hope. That's a straight up fact because Tobias has said he took inspiration from that. Obviously you've got Neil's Darth Vader voices with the fucking nerd. You've got Neil's Darth Vader noises in chapter 4 when he goes to see Sister in the hospital. Obviously, this is an obvious reference, but obviously, like Copia referenced Star Wars with his lightsaber in chapter 12. And then I kind of spoke to you about this earlier. All these little Star Wars references, with the fact that obviously we're wondering whether Neil is Copia's dad. Are we going to get like a chapter in like maybe 3 chapters time where it's like, no, Copia, I am your father, and then it all makes sense.
And then Copia is just going to be like, yeah, I know, and you're a deadbeat one too.
We were like going to be expecting like the whole like Luke crying on the thing, being like, no, but Copia's just like, okie dokie.
Like, I already knew, but thanks.
Yeah. So I thought that was quite a nice thing to point out.
No, I can definitely see that. Like, I mean, Tobias is a fucking nerd, so like I wouldn't put it past him to like do another Star Wars reference in his fucking like in his fucking fan fiction.
All right, so I think we've covered all the basics and the biggies for this week. Cammy, where can people find you at on your socials? Because I know you make some funny ass videos on TikTok.
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Tumblr, and it's all the same username, YourFavGhestie.
All right, cool. And I'm Älva, you know where I am. I'm that annoying one that's always on everyone's timeline. Yeah, we're gonna be back again soon with another theories video, but next week is gonna be Australia. So yeah, check that out. So yeah, we'll see you next time, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.